Hi, my name is Enda Murray. I'm the director of the Irish Film Festival. I'm delighted to be joined tonight by Graham Cantwell, director of Who We Love, Amy-Joyce Hastings and Clara Harte, performers in the film. Guys, you're very welcome to a very wet and windy Australia.
Thank you.
Congratulations on a great film. I really enjoyed Who We Love, and I'm delighted to put it on in the festival. Graham, let's start off with you. You co-wrote the script, and it came from a short film. Do you want to? Oh, sorry, a short. Do you want to tell us about how the project developed?
Yeah, we well, basically the short film was called Lily, and it was originally made as part of an exercise with a group of master's students. It was a kind of a very small scale thing, with a very small budget and only a few days to shoot. And we had very low expectations for it when we made it, but it had an incredible run on the festival circuit. It won a ton of awards, and it did really well for us. And a few people said to me while we were on the circuit with the film, "Would you make a feature film of it?" And I resisted at the start because I thought the short worked in and of itself. It worked as a contained story. But we had a screening of the film in Rome, in Italy, and after the screening, we did a Q&A with some kids, Italian kids, and the short film had a very big impact on them emotionally. They had a very emotional response to it, and they talked to us about themselves, their lives, and how it related to them. And I thought after that, if they had that much of a visceral reaction to it, to a short film, how much more of a reaction could we get from people with a full length, with a feature film? So that was the moment where I decided to see if I could make a feature film out of it. And I said to Alan Fitzpatrick, the producer at the time, I said, I don't want to just make a fat version of the short. I don't want to just make a bloated version of the short. It's got to be able to stand on its own two legs. So we spent a long time, 3 years, working on the script. And eventually we brought in Katie McNeice, my co-writer on the film, who's a young lesbian writer. And she brought her own slant to it. And she helped me to improve it and to make it more relevant. And it really took off from there. And then it was just a question of securing funding for it and going out and making it. And it was a tough old process because we made it, we shot, when did we shoot the original stuff, guys? Can you remember?
2019.
2019. And then when we went to shoot our pickups and reshoots, the pandemic happened. So we were shut down. So we were basically shut down for a whole year, with I'd say about 80% of the film shot. But it was good because it gave us a bit of time to reflect on what we had and to rewrite based on that, so that when we did get around to going back out and shooting our reshoots and our pickups, we had a much stronger film as a result, because we had that bit of time to reflect.
And was there much relation between the short and the feature, say in terms of the cast, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, from the short, so Clara, Amy-Joyce, and Dean were the three they were the triumvirate. They were the three main characters in the short. And of course, they were in the feature film as well. And there's a few other people who were in the short. Lynette Callahan, Niamh McCormick, Hallie Ridgway. There was a lot of people who were in the short who were also in the feature, but we managed to expand their roles a bit. And then we brought in a whole load of new actors as well, obviously, to flesh it out.
All right, so you guys, Amy-Joyce and Clara, you've been with this project for quite a long time. It's quite an extraordinary type of experience. What, Clara, say if we start with you, what was your experience of being with, I suppose, with a project for such a long time?
Well, I guess, when we shot the shorts, that was 2016.
It was just a very different experience. It happened within the space of kind of 2 or 3 weeks, and it was all very fresh and new. And then living with the project and the people over that, like we went on a festival journey with that. We all got very close and became a very tight knit kind of group. And then to see it expand, I think the feature became a very different thing. And what I kind of decided, that you have to approach it as a fresh thing. You can't try and recreate what you did performance wise in the short. It's a very different, like there was far more backstory and life to Lily that I was able to sink my teeth into and explore. And then the other thing is, by the time we got to the feature, the core group that were there on the shorts, we all knew each other so well that it became like a family. Like there was such a level of trust, and I think like that's what really lifted the, like, I feel like I might never have that experience again on a film where it just felt like we'd all grown together. And that, I think, what I brought, or what we were able to bring to that, with that kind of power behind us of just like being able to fall back on each other. Because it's a hard, not a hard story to tell, but it requires a lot of depth and going to places that are quite uncomfortable. So it was good to have that resource of everyone around us by that stage, and a comfortable clan, group, tribe.
Yeah. Amy, Josh, what's your experiences of that time?
Yeah, same, much as what Clara said. It's kind of an interesting one, because on film it's usually such a capsule of time that you come on, you work very intensively on something for a short burst as an actor, and then go away from it and it's done. So this felt a little bit more like theatre or serial television, in that we lived with those characters for a very long time. And Graham and Katie, while they were developing the feature script, did, table reads and rehearsals, and sometimes like me and Clara would meet up with them for coffee and just chat through the characters' backstories. So you kind of got to contribute in a really meaningful way as an actor over a long period of time, and sort of, built the backstory of the characters. And it's not even all overtly discussed in the film, but I think it's all there underneath in the story, and you can kind of sense that all those characters have a really rich world. So it was a great experience to take something and adapt it from one medium short film to feature over such a long space of time.
Yeah, it's lovely to hear you say that you enjoyed that experience of being on a film. I'm just thinking at the FLA last week, there was a couple of people were saying that, and I think it's certainly something as a filmmaker that I remember a long time ago, but just that buzz of creating stuff with people and everybody working together, which it's, when you get down through the commercial drill, quite often it's hard to find that. Hey Graham, I was just going to ask you, in the notes accompanying the film, you say that the emphasis on gender equality, diversity and inclusion are key principles behind the message of who we love. And do you think that those principles are that the situation in Ireland is improving in that area?
I mean, it is. It's slow. It's not it's not an overnight kind of a thing. And we were talking about this not too long ago, myself and Katie as well, whereby change is happening and it needs to happen, and more people are being included and there is proper representation happening, but it needs to be forced before it becomes natural, if you know what I mean. It needs people who are part of the decision-making process to actively decide we're going to include, you know, more female parts, more LGBT parts, you know, different races, different ethnicities, different religions. It needs people to make a conscious effort to do that at this stage before it becomes the norm, before it becomes how things just happen. Because the way things just happen at the moment is still quite patriarchal, and it is still quite, you know, straight and white. And that's how it's been for a long time. It is changing, definitely. But some people are slow to catch up. Other people, they can see what's needed and they're taking steps. So yeah, definitely it is changing, but it's a slow process. And it needs a bit more effort, I think, from the people who are in a position to make those calls, to decide who's involved, who's going to be included, what kind of characters are going to be up on screen, and who makes up your crew and your cast, you know. So yeah, definitely there is progress happening, but it would be nice to see it become par for the course. You know, it would be nice to see it become just how things are, that representation is a natural byproduct of the makeup of any given society or area where you're filming.
What do you hope people would take away from watching your film?
Well, I mean, I made the film, or we made the film, hoping to reach out to younger people who are having a hard time, and their parents or mentors, or, you know, people who are in their lives, older people, to maybe help bridge a gap between them, to create a piece of work that both can relate to, both sets can relate to, that people will see a film that they'll enjoy, that they'll get some pleasure from, but also they'll be able to use it as a starting point for a conversation where they can talk to each other about the issues that are brought up in the film. You know, issues about identity, sexual orientation, who you are, and how you deal with a world that maybe doesn't treat you as kindly as it should. And how do we change that? That was our kind of our mission statement when we started with it. So really, I hope people, first and foremost, that they just enjoy the film. You know, that's, as a filmmaker, that's really what you want. You want people to enjoy it, to laugh, to be moved by it. And then after the fact, if it lodges in their brain a bit, that they might be able to talk about it, to talk about what the film is about, the issues that it raises, and to maybe have conversations with younger people in their lives or older people in their lives, depending on who they are, about it. Yeah.
Clara, I wanted to ask you, what was the memory that you take away from the film? Maybe memorable occurrences in making the film, or what was the outstanding memory you have when you look back at making it?
I think there's two things. I think number one, the love we all had for each other as a cast and crew, because I think when you're making something like this that is really like resourceful and everyone shows up with a fire in their belly to tell the story, something really special emerged from that, where, you know, we were all fighting the good fight together and became really close, like kind of like tight family for that amount of time. And then as well, I think going back to what Graham said about that time in Rome, when the film kind of felt like bigger than us in the children's reaction to it in that room, and just how much it has started a conversation with them. I think that feeling of we're making something so important and with a message that needs to be heard and needs to be communicated to a larger audience, and hopefully, and we've gotten a lot, I think, in the screenings that we've had, we've gotten a lot of parents and reactions that are of this nature, where it's just like, thank you for opening that door, opening that kind of conversation that I can have, or having me feel seen. A lot of people will come up to us saying that's my story or a version of it. And God, when you make something like that, or you're involved in making something like that as an artist, that's a goal. It's just like, it's bigger than you. So I think that's what I will take away from this forever, is that feeling of sort of service and hopefully opening conversations.
Amy-Joyce, could I ask you the same question? What do you bring with you from that experience of making a film?
God, so much. I mean, I suppose what's felt different about this project than other projects, I think, is kind of what Clara was saying. It's from the short to this, they're different, but they've merged into one big long experience. And I think it's that sense that you've gone through so much with this group of people, the people you made the film with, and the Onward Festival journey of both the short and this has really given it so much texture and afterlife that I just carry that feeling. It just kind of changed, I suppose, just that feeling sometimes as an actor that you show up, you do a gig, and when you're done filming, it's over, it's wrapped. And this very much shifted that for me, where I felt like the journey isn't over when you call cut on the last day of shooting, but it's kind of just a chapter, and there's so much more of the journey to go. And I've really felt that with Lily and Who We Love, that there's just a very big journey for this project. So that's my takeaway.
Cool. Graham, what projects are in the pipeline for you? Are you working on any projects that you could tell us about at the moment?
I mean, yeah, there's always 1,000,001 different projects that you're working on. There's a lot of stuff in development. I'm working on a documentary at the moment, a proposal for a documentary that's based in Galway in the west of Ireland. We're looking at maybe developing another level with Who We Love, taking that forward to a kind of a series, taking the characters and moving them forward in their lives beyond school, and seeing what happens to them beyond that, and seeing if we can find storylines that resonate, that make sense there. And then a couple of other things. I'm working on I finished a novel that I'm bringing out to publishers at the moment as well. So yeah, keeping busy.
You're a busy man. Jesus. And Clara, have you recently moved to London? Or have you been there for a while?
Recently moved back, yeah. So I was in Ireland for a lot of the pandemic and beyond. And so, yeah, just back in the last few months, and seeing where that journey takes me. So it's a big city.
And Amy-Joyce, what's next for you?
Well, I had 2 babies since the film, as in I was pregnant when we filmed. I was pregnant when we were filming Who We Love. So I now have a 2.5-year-old and a 7-month-old. So I've kind of been on maternity / pandemic leave, but I'm just finished now. So time will tell.
Oh, good luck with a 2.5-year-old and a 7-month-old. They're gonna keep you busy.
Oh, they do, yeah.
Great. Look, I really enjoyed. Just want to say again, yeah, I really enjoyed the film. There was just lots of light and dark, and it was a really nice journey. So congratulations on like putting it all together, and thanks for joining us tonight. And yeah, we look forward to bringing it around Australia. And yeah, if you've got any friends, tell them to come along. Yeah, I'll keep you posted on how it's faring.
Yeah. No, we'd love to hear what the reaction is. How people take to it. It's one of the things when you take a film abroad, you never know how people are going to react, and people react in different ways to different parts of different films, you know. So it's I'm really keen to see how Aussie audiences take to the film.
Great. Thanks a million, guys. Slán agus Banach.
Brilliant.
Slán.
Thank you. Cheers, and all the best. Bye, bye, bye.